You're listening to the Ordinary Joe's podcast with Joe D and Eric B. Ordinary Joe's podcast.
All right. Look who is back. Back for another session of the... Oh, man.
You're listening to the Ordinary Joe's podcast.
Back with another episode of the Ordinary Joe's podcast. We have been MIA for a while. Well, someone has been MIA for a while. And if you can tell from his hat, the Mets fans over there, where he's on the wrong side of the bridge. Baseball fans, he's on the wrong side of the bridge.
Not this last week.
Nice. Hey, put my Giants to shame there, man. That's all right. That's all right. He can brag all he wants because it's
a long season.
Yeah, that's what matters at the end of the season. Oh man, Joe, it's good to have you back, man. It's good for you to be back on the show, man. Kind of missed you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, man. I missed you. Missed everybody. It's funny when you're doing this, it's hard to tell by likes and comments if people are really even watching. And this time off, man, I've been getting a lot of people asking, hey, when Ordinary Joe's coming back, like people that I didn't even think in a million years even listen to us. And I was like, oh, okay, you know what? We gotta get back on it. Well, I gotta get back on it.
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
And I told you just a couple of days ago, our famous Casey King was like, dude, so did you guys break up? Just tell me the truth, man. Did you guys break up? And I'm like, well, no. And I explained it before. Joe had issues, computer issues, and then, work and ordinary lives is part of the Ordinary Joes because ordinary things happen. And sometimes, I do it as Joe says, okay, let's do it Sunday. Then I get a text from Joe this morning. Hey, man, change the plans. I'm like, oh, man, we're going to have to reschedule this another day.
I knew it.
And then I looked. I'm like, oh, yeah, cool. All right, let's go do it. And, in honor of Joe.
I don't have friends. I got family.
My doppelganger.
Man, let's see if we can do this, man. Let's go ahead and get this started, man. I'm Eric B.
And I'm Joe D. And we are the Ordinary Joes.
All right. A little rusty,
but that's okay.
A little rusty, but I'll take it.
It's been a while.
I'll take it. Last time we talked about the what if issue, we were talking about the series What If, and we never got to finish the whole series of What If. So in this episode, we're going to go ahead and talk about everything that happened from What If to the Thor Love and Thunder.
Yeah, preview. I keep calling it Thor Love and Hip Hop. I'm terrible with with titles.
I'm the episode of Big Bang Theory where Raj is like doing Thor and Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
They got to find a way to put that in the movie, man.
Great, because now I'm going to be singing that all day.
Yeah, they got to find a way to put that in the movie. But yeah, I keep saying Thor and Dr. Jones and Thunder and all that stuff. But yeah, man, let's go ahead and get this long and awaited Ordinary Joe's Marvel scene. We're going to touch on everything from What If to the Thor and Moon Knight and all that stuff and see where this is headed. So, Joe, in honor of you coming back, go ahead and get us started.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Eric. Good to be back. Shout out to all our listeners out there who missed us. We miss you guys too. Is that the sappy music in the background? Yeah, but Marvel, man. I mean, this is like a nice little throwback topic for Ordinary Joes because you guys know we love Marvel stuff and everything they do for the most part. And a lot has happened let's start with the end of the What If series.
Oh, yeah.
I think that kind of set the tone for where they're going, as far as the multiverse and giving us all these options now to have all these characters, maybe bring some back. And I remember when it was sort of kind of the last Avengers movie around that time, and we were talking about like the future of Marvel, like where do they go now, and I was unsure because I'm like, you're getting rid of all the main characters that we love from Marvel, like all the big names, the Hulks and Iron Mans and Captain America. And it's kind of like, I don't know, can these secular characters hold their own and continue it? And I was a little nervous, but I tell you what, I'm excited where it's going. They're doing a really good job. And I just give an example, say Doctor Strange. They took a character that, as far as comic books go, maybe not everybody really knew much about him or were big fans about him, but man, the Doctor Strange movie is like one of my favorite Marvel movies. It's like top 3 easily. So I can already see like the potential that a lot of these characters and movies are going to have. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on?
No, you hit it right on the bud. Like just that last episode of What If, when what was it? What if Ultron War 1? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And just the whole multiverse that they brought in the What If characters, now that they're actually bringing into the live stream MCU, there's rumors going around, and I don't know if you heard. Me, I'm the big Marvel nerd, I guess, for you guys who want to call me that. I'm hearing rumors that Agent Carter might even be in the Multiverse of Madness. She's going to be one of the. You remember the end of What If, when the Watcher brought in a bunch of people, and Agent Carter was one of them?
Yeah,
they're supposed to be the Illuminatis that Doctor Strange is going to have. So Agent Carter is supposed to be one of the Illuminatis that when they get into this realm, she's so, I mean, man, just imagine, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, like a kid in the candy store. Just imagine we see Agent Carter and Doctor Strange holding that, holding that shield, right?
Yeah, that would be sick. And I love the fact that you just brought, is that the...
That's the Agent Carter. See, that's how bad I have it.
You got a problem, man.
Oh man, I got zombie cap here too. So
I love that you brought up the Illuminati, because that ties into another rumor I heard, and I'm not sure if you heard about it, about a Hulk movie that's supposed to come out. I don't know when, maybe 23 or something like that. I think it's still a rumor, but from what I hear, it was supposed to be like Hulk War or something like that, World War, or some kind of very similar to the comic, the Hulk series that they had. And part of that storyline involves the Illuminati. And so if they're bringing that in, I mean, that kind of, to me, that's maybe like a little hint that this Hulk movie might actually happen.
Yeah, man, I mean, I'm like, again, kid in the candy store, man. Just the whole, everything that's going on from the Disney Plus. I mean, even if they don't come out with a Hulk movie, and if they brought Hulk out on Disney Plus, man, that would just, I mean, everything that Disney Plus is doing right now when it comes to Marvel and Star Wars, it's so much better than what we see on live TV. Like, I could have watched the Eternals. I don't know if you've seen it. I could have watched the Eternals on Disney Plus. I mean, that's just, 3 hours of my time wasted. And I think I brought this up in a podcast that I did, where I think the Eternals, what they did wrong was they didn't introduce, or they didn't bring in any of the old MCU characters. Spoiler alert for Joe. Sorry for not watching it.
No, that's fine.
If they would have brought in Falcon, or if they would have brought in, Winter Soldier, just as a cameo, I think it would have uplifted the movie that much better. But for them to introduce us to a whole new set of characters, and after we just spent 10 years of our lives watching these Avengers, I was like, where's Iron Man?
Yeah.
Where's Captain America?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it, and I will. That's definitely on the list. But I mean, not having seen it, that's a little weird that they didn't bring back any characters, because part of like what we were saying about the whole new phase is they kind of eased us into it even during the original phases of it. They kind of drop these little hints introducing characters, even if they don't have like a big part. You see them and you get their kind of their role in the whole storyline. So to just out of nowhere here, like boom, here's some new characters. Yeah, that's a little that takes a little getting used to. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
I mean, even like in Shang-Chi gave us Wong, who's part of Doctor Strange's universe. Even his little cameo in there was like a big thing for all of us, because it showed us that at least Shang-Chi ties in with the MCU somehow. And then at the end credit scene, when they showed, Bruce Banner and, talking about, that whole thing that was felt around the world, it's like, wow. So we know this ties in, where Eternals was more it was its own movie. They did bring up the characters, they did bring up the names, but it was kind of like, show us somebody. Even if they would have brought in like Loki, I think that would have been like, whoa, this is the same universe, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I can't wait to see where this is going, man. I mean, just watching Spider-Man. I mean, come on, man. You watched it.
I finally watched it.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, why did I wait so long to watch this movie? Like, I just literally like 2 days ago just watched it.
Wow. So it's still fresh in your head. What was your favorite scene, man? I got to ask, what was your favorite scene?
Oh man, there was a lot.
I have one. One is the ultimate favorite scene is just one.
I don't know that I necessarily had a favorite scene. I laughed a lot in it, but one of the things that I noticed, and I don't know if this was done purposely, but Andrew Garfield cried a lot, right? Like a hell of a lot. So I'm assuming, he's the sensitive in his in his world or universe, he's the sensitive Spider-Man. But it got to the point where I was like, wait, are they like, is this supposed to be funny? Because I was laughing towards the end. I'm like, this guy just keeps crying. So, I mean, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the comedy, which Marvel's good for. But I don't know. I don't know if there's like a scene that necessarily sticks out. My
favorite scene is when all three of them put on their suit and they're swinging their webs, and then there's a shot of all three of them in the moonlight, and then when they land on the Statue of Liberty and all their different Spider-Man poses.
Yeah, that's
I was like, oh, wow, this is so refreshing.
Yeah, no, it was done really well. And then you get hit with the nostalgia when you see Tobey Maguire, and it's like, oh man. And I love that they didn't try to make him be a young guy, like, cause it's obvious he's older. So they went with him being an older Peter Parker. So I was like, oh yes, thank you. Thank you.
And you're right. I love that, like my back hurts, crack my back, and I think to answer your question about Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man crying a lot, I think it's because in his universe, he's the only one that actually lost somebody, right?
That's right.
Because he lost Gwen, and Gwen died right in front of him. Where we just saw Peter Parker, Tom Holland Spider-Man, he lost his aunt right in front of him. So they're both kind of in that crying mode situation. I like where it's going. I like where the whole Spider-Man is going. The whole memory thing. I don't know how that's going to tie into Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. Is that the reason why we have a Multiverse of Madness? But the one thing that kind of killed me about this movie going into the Multiverse of Madness is when Doctor Strange says we're going to do a memory spell and have everybody forget what happened. And he told Wong, you guys don't remember the party at Comatage. And Wong was like, what party at Comatage? He's like, yeah, exactly. When Doctor Strange does this, we're going to have everybody forget Peter Parker. Why did he make himself forget who Peter Parker is too?
Well, I don't think that was intentional. I think that was part of the fuck up, excuse my language, when Peter kept changing, the things that he wanted the spell to be about. So I have a feeling that was just part of that whole thing. It screwed everything up and messed that, because he's just, it had something to do with the wording of it. And so I'm assuming that's why he forgot to. And plus it made it a little more interesting, him not knowing who he was either.
Yeah. But did you catch that little subtle hint? And this is just me. This is my opinion. I brought this up again on one of my podcasts, and a lot of people, Twitter killed me on this, and they hated me for saying this. When they did the forget me spell for Peter Parker or Tom Holland Spider-Man, I think that was a subtle way of telling us, the MCU fans, bye-bye Spider-Man in the MCU, because he's now moving into the Sonyverse. And when I brought that up, I said he wasn't just making everybody in the MCU forget him. He was making everybody in Marvel forget him, because now he's taking that step into the Sonyverse.
So wait, you fill me in. I'm not sure. I've never heard of the Sonyverse. So what's going on there?
For you guys who don't know, you have the Sonyverse versus the Marvel universe. Sony has Venom. They have Morbius, which just terrible. So they're trying to build up their own little universe, and they're trying to bank off this. So my theory was, when they made us forget, or the Marvel characters forget who Spider-Man was, that was just a subtle hint of saying Spider-Man is no longer going to be part of the MCU, because now he's moving on to Sony, where Sony has the full rights of him, the full rights of Spider-Man. You remember, like, Spider-Man was just a borrow for Marvel. They only let Marvel borrow him for a little bit, and now this is their way of saying, we're going to bring Spider-Man and Venom together. We're going to have them fight in our universe. So
yeah, that's not a bad take. I mean, because you look at Tom Holland, even though he still looks like a kid, I mean, he is getting older. I could see maybe this next movie maybe being his last one. Yeah. And you know, we always have to remember there's a business behind all these movies and stuff. Because if we had it our way, if I had it my way, X-Men would have been done by Marvel
a long time ago.
Yeah, and I feel like it would have been done amazingly, and it could have been tied into the multiverse. And so as fans, I think we kind of missed out. But you know, you have to understand that there's a lot of money behind this. I mean, no one, and not to get off topic, but you know, since COVID, with people not going to the movie theaters as much, it's changed the way they make movies now. Like, we're not going to get these big budget films that we used to see back in the days. That's why we're getting all these Netflix, you know, only or Hulu only movies. But the ones that are still doing these huge budgets are Marvel. Yeah. So they surpassed COVID. You know what I mean? Like, people were waiting for this movie to come out. So it sucks because we don't have a lot of say so as fans in that stuff. But I could easily see that happening, where they just say, you know what, you guys had a great time with him. He's ours, and we're taking him back. Yeah, you know. Yeah.
I mean, it's cool because, but I just, if they stick with the writers, if they stick with the right writers, you know, Sony with their version of the Suicide Squad. I don't know if you've seen that last Suicide Squad version.
I didn't see the last one. No,
that was terrible. I mean, it was just like, you know, if Peter Gunn wasn't the director, it wouldn't have been as funny, but it was just terrible. So I'm hoping if they do keep Tom Holland, or if Sony does keep Tom Holland, they do it the right way. They find some, like, hey, Marvel writers, help us out with this. Don't try to, you know, because I don't know if you've seen Morbius, but I heard it was terrible. Everybody's like, oh God, it's one of those movies where here's Sony again trying to bring back a character that no one really knows about. They just didn't do it right, from what I heard. So I'm going to wait till it comes out, where HBO Max or wherever they plan on bringing it out. But yeah, I'm going to wait till it comes out and watch it there. But yeah, I'm excited with where this is going. And you brought up, you know, X-Men, and hopefully in this Doctor Strange, I mean, this Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, man, there's so many options. And this is what I love about Marvel writing it. If they took this off the comic book, props to them. But if they find a way to bring in all these characters that we're waiting for, you know, there's rumors going around that Fantastic Four is supposed to be part of the Illuminatis.
Yep.
So if that happens, man, I'm gonna have a heart attack right there. Yeah. You know, May 5th when I watch Doctor Strange, I did buy my tickets. May 5th when I watch Doctor Strange, man, I'm definitely making sure I don't put a lot of butter in my popcorn, because whatever I eat that night is gonna stop my heart watching all these things.
Yeah, no, seriously. May 5th, is that really when it's coming out already?
It comes out May 6th, but you know how the Friday's May 6th, but you know how they do the Thursday night previews, or they do it Thursday night. So yeah, I can't, you know me, when it comes to Marvel, I can't do spoilers, and you know, you're gonna have people like, oh my God, Doctor Strange. I can't. I don't even look at social media on any premiere. So I said, you know what, let's just go watch it on May 5th. That way I can be the guy telling you guys.
Yeah, ruining it for everybody else.
I don't spoil. You know that. I don't spoil.
No, yeah. You're good with that. I was actually surprised that I didn't get a lot of spoiler alerts with Spider-Man. I did avoid social media for a little while, so I didn't, you know, it wouldn't get ruined for me. But I was actually, and I also, you know, I smoke pot, so I have a bad memory anyway. So wait, if you ruin it for me.
I got something for Joe for that one.
Smoke weed every day.
There you go.
Yeah, there. All right. So question.
Yeah.
Does that mean that Marvel, as far as the whole Sony thing, are they also borrowing Venom? Because, you know, spoiler alert for anyone who didn't watch Spider-Man, the second, what is that? Post credit scene had Venom at the end. And so I was wondering why it felt odd to me watching it. I didn't realize because it's a Sony movie or whatever, but it didn't really I'm torn because I did not like Venom. I'm sorry. Like, so you got, like, I love Tom Hardy. He's one of my favorite actors. I just didn't like the campy voice that they gave him. I think it was done too much, and it's a little too silly and distracting for me. But I don't know, maybe they'll change it around, because one of my favorite comic series when I was a kid that I actually read was the whole Spider-Man Venom Carnage series. Like, I had all those number ones. I thought it was great. And then I'm like, Tom Hardy's doing Venom. This is awesome. And then it was like the letdown. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they'll let Marvel take the reins with that a little bit and, put their 2 cents in.
Well, here's my theory on that one. So everybody waited, you as well, waited for Venom to be part of the MCU, right? So we get Venom in the MCU, but we get it in a post-credit scene, right? So we get it at the end of the movie. Venom was in the MCU for a quick second, and then he goes back to his Sonyverse. But he left behind a little piece of symbiote where you can see it on the bar. So that's Sony's way of saying, here's a piece of symbiote, do what you want with it in your universe. So what they're going to do with it, I don't know. What they're going to do it. And then in the Spider-Man movie, when they're all talking about, oh yeah, I fought, a guy in a black suit, and everybody but Andrew Garfield fought a Venom, right? So everyone's thinking, okay, this is a good homage or a good way for Tom Holland to go back into his universe and fight Tom Hardy's Venom. So that's the rumor going around. But I think with that post-credit scene, they did leave a little, little symbiote walking around in the bar. So I think that's Sony's way of saying, here's your symbiote, do what you want with it. So I don't know what they're going to do with it. I mean, there's rumors going around in Thor Love and Thunder that in that scene, if you guys watch the previews, there's that scene where Thor sees Jane for the first time, and she's holding on to Mjolnir, and in the background, if you really look at it, it looks like a bunch of Venoms fighting. So, maybe that's their way of saying, okay, there's a symbiote here, and we're going to use Thor Love and Thunder.
Oh, we'll see. I mean, they're really good. Jesus. Do you have props for every superhero?
This is what happens when Joe is not around. And
don't blame me.
And guess what? I am taking this to watch Thor Love and Thunder. My kids are like, oh,
you're such a loser.
Yeah.
You should get the hat with the Thor wings going out.
Where is that?
Oh no.
I don't have it with me, but yes.
No, but you need the one with the blonde hair in the back attached to it.
You see how long I'm trying to grow my hair? Yeah.
Do it. Do it. Do the blonde mullet. Just for the movie.
Just for the movie. Yeah, I got to have that same Thor accent. I don't think, I can be the Filipino Thor, I can be like, this is Mjolnir. This is my hammer, and he can back you up. This is Mjolnir.
Dude, speaking of the Filipino accent, how about the love you guys got in Spider-Man? That was pretty awesome. Yeah. My wife was sitting there giggling her butt off because she knew exactly what the Lola was saying.
Yeah. And it's funny because we watched it in the movie theaters. I don't know if you watched it in the movie theaters.
We watched it at home.
But I was cracking up before everybody else was even cracking up. Before Ned was like, my Lola wants to know if you could, I was cracking up while she was speaking because it was funny. Like, I totally understood what she was saying.
Yeah, no, that's awesome because I didn't know Ned or the actor that plays Ned was Filipino.
Yeah, from Hawaii.
And I knew he was from Hawaii, but I wasn't sure kind of if anybody knows Hawaii is like a hodgepodge of different backgrounds. So I wasn't sure if he was Filipino. She's like, yeah, he is. So this was kind of right before that scene. And so she's like, oh my God, that's so awesome. And we rented it on Amazon. So, the family upstairs was going to watch it after us and we could hear them laughing at, that same part. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah, I love that.
I love how the MCU gave the Filipinos props for that. And from everything from, if you rewatch it, you see the spoon and the fork in the background. You see the shield with all the swords in the background. And when Mary Jane was throwing the bread at Andrew Garfield, it's pandesal. It's the pandesal bread, and she just kept throwing that. And I'm thinking like, dude, that's Pandisal. You don't do that, man.
Yeah, she would have got her ass beat.
You would have got something else and then threw it at him, but not the bread, not the Pandisal. So, yeah, man, that was kind of cool. I mean, too bad we don't have a Filipino, superhero coming on. So
yeah, well, you never know. I mean, Marvel's been digging into their bag of goodies, like, and that's what I mean as far as like to get back to what we were saying, like the direction they're going. They're really good. Like, there's no end to the amount of characters that Marvel has, and they are really good at making these kind of no-name characters or people you don't really know too much about, making them stars and making them shine.
I'm looking at
and making them
now.
interesting.
One, so
what was that?
I'm looking to see if there is one. If there's a Filipino Marvel. Actually, there's somebody named Ari Agbayana. It says Marvel introduces a new Filipino superhero, Ari Agbayana.
Oh, there you go.
She's wearing the Captain America stuff, and she's wearing the old Captain America shield. Wow.
Nice.
Wow. I can't. What is this coming out, man? This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Is Miles Morales Puerto Rican?
Yes. From what I know, he's Puerto Rican. So you guys are taking care of
it. At least we got one. We got a big one too. That's not bad.
But you got him in the. I mean, you got him in the Sony verse, which is cool. But you still got a superhero. American Chavez, right? American Chavez in Doctor Strange. I'm not sure what her Hispanic heritage is. She could be Puerto Rican also. So
maybe, that's something I got to look up.
Yeah.
Now, did you? And I mean, I'm asking you just for the sake of the podcast, but I know you pick up on all these things. You're good for that. But did you catch Daredevil in Spider-Man?
Yes.
How excited about that are you? Because Daredevil is one of the other few comics that I read and didn't just collect for the sake of collecting.
Yeah. No, I love how, again, we're talking Sony Marvel here, right? And I love how Marvel introduced them in Spider-Man, but he's definitely a Marvel character. He's not a Sony character. And for you guys who don't know, you guys are going to ask, there's, Marvel is split up with Sony and Marvel. And there's certain Marvel characters that Sony owns that Marvel can't use. But Daredevil is definitely a Marvel character, not a Sony character. So how they're going to use him in the future, when they're going to use him in the future, I can't wait. I mean, just to have him there, he's way better than Ben Affleck's, Daredevil.
Yes.
And just to have him there and to show him, even it was like again, what I brought up earlier, to give that little cameo, to give us viewers like some kind of excitement, what's going to happen in the future. I mean, who knows what they're going to do with him? And I can't wait with them, using him. Did you catch the Hawkeye episode?
No, that's next on my list. So tonight I'm making it a point to watch at least one Moon Knight and one Hawkeye, so I can kind of get them both out of the way because I need to catch up.
Without giving you spoilers, Hawkeye introduced so many good characters that I'm excited to see where this is headed in the MCU. With them doing that, it's just going to be, again, there's just a plethora of things that Marvel, what are you guys going to do? It's keeping someone like me on my toes and keeping someone like me buying all these crap that I shouldn't be buying. But I can't wait. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with Marvel.
Yeah. I mean, I did get the spoilers for Hawkeye. So I do know they introduced, and spoiler for those of you who didn't watch it, they did introduce Doctor Strange, if I'm not mistaken. Or James, is it Hawkeye? Yeah. James Gandolfini's, not James Gandolfini. She's the other guy.
It's not Doctor Strange. It's was it not
Doctor Strange? Not Doctor Strange.
God, what's his name? Not Mr. Big. God, what's his
Vincent
name?
D'Onofrio.
Yeah. I forget what his character.
As the actor.
Well, forget what's his character. Mr. Big. Oh my gosh, you're not gonna get me look. But yeah,
it's gonna kill me when you say it. But yeah. And I believe in a character named Echo, right? And that's supposed to be like another series that's going to be on Disney Plus. And I love too how, they have so much they seem to be coming out within the next few years. And I love how they're spreading it out between Disney Plus series and movies, because, and I think we touched on this a while back, they can really kind of flesh out and introduce these characters through a series, especially the ones that we don't know, kind of really give us their origin story, their backstory, and kind of ease us into a movie with them. Because now by the time the movie comes around, we're already familiar with the character. We love the character. Now we can't wait to see that, big film debut. I wish they would have done something like that with Shang-Chi. I was a little disappointed with that movie, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I talked to you about it or if I talked to a coworker about it. What killed me about that movie was more the Awkwafina role. And,
yes.
And, she's a good actress in her comical way. And when she does her little comedy, she's funny. But to have her in a series like an MCU movie where you're trying to get the whole feel of what Shang-Chi's doing, but she's here with her loud mouth, and comical attitude. I'm just like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of hers. I don't hate her, but I've just never necessarily found her funny. I always found her a little forced.
Yeah.
I thought she was actually pretty good in the what was that movie that she did? The Crazy Rich Asians. Yeah. I thought she was okay in that, but yeah, sometimes she's just a little too much for me.
Yeah.
And I felt like especially introducing like an Asian character, which is like awesome. I felt some of the stuff culturally was a little campy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like just kind of, I don't know. Like I felt like they could have done better. Like when you compare that, let's just say to like Black Panther, like Wakanda's supposed to be this kind of mythical land that's in country that's in Africa, but it felt authentic. It didn't feel like they were making fun of it. I kind of felt that sometimes they were making fun of Asian culture, and I could be reaching, but
no, you're right.
You're right. I just didn't really enjoy it all that. I mean, it was good. I like the guy who plays Shang-Chi. I like the character of Shang-Chi and Wong, obviously, but the movie itself, I think, kind of lacked a little bit. So hopefully they can turn it around.
I mean, what killed me about that movie is when they were valeting in the beginning of the movie and she wanted to drive that car so bad. She was like begging him to drive it. And she kept calling herself the Asian Rusty Wallace or whatever the name is. And I'm like, so are you saying Asians like to drive fast? I mean, that's where I looked at it. I'm like, come on. I mean, that part right there was like, they didn't need to. I mean, it did show some good San Francisco scenes, but it's like, you didn't need to do that. You didn't need to do that. His name was Kingpin.
Kingpin. Oh my God. Yes, Kingpin.
You know, it's funny. There's an Easter egg that I just really, really tripped out over that I saw online. I'm not giving myself credit for this. I saw this online. If you look at the Adventures of Babysitting, we're going to go back to the 80s now. Adventures of, I think Elizabeth Shue was the main character of that. And the premise of the story is she's supposed to be babysitting these kids, but they end up running all over the city. Now that they are trying to find one kid, they end up at a mechanic. One of the girls is a big fan of Thor. She carries the hammer around. She has a hat with the ears or the wings. They go into this auto body shop. They see this guy wearing a tight, tank top, wearing a trucker style hat, and he's holding a metal hammer. It's an auto shop. And he looks exactly like Thor, and it was played by Vincent D'Onofrio. So a young Vincent D'Onofrio. It was before Men in Black, before what he's doing now. But I was just like, wow, why didn't this ever come out? Before the MCU, he was already part of the MCU.
That's freaking awesome. Yeah, I love that guy. We've told stories on here about our celebrity run-ins, and I kind of told a story about my mom and him. But yeah, I'm a fan of him, and I was actually really excited to see that he was in Hawkeye. I forgot about the Hawkeye series. I was just kind of brushing up a little bit on what's coming up for Marvel, and I saw that, and I'm like, oh my God, Hawkeye! I completely forgot about it. So
it's funny because a lot of people were like, when they asked me, well, who's my favorite Avenger, and everyone trips out when I say Hawkeye is one of my favorite Avengers, and they're like, why? It's like, because he doesn't have a lot of money. He doesn't have superpowers. He's just a dude who has arrow skills. He's a mercenary. Everybody forgets he's a mercenary. He's a trained killer. He knows how to kill, but he doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't have anything. He's not Tony Stark where he can just buy whatever tech he wants. He's just a guy with an arrow, and he just knows how to shoot the arrow. So he's
Batman without the money.
Yeah, and he's me if I knew how to shoot the arrow, So that's why I like that. Yeah, Captain America is always great. Spider-Man is always good. But if you take that away from them, who are they? They're Hawkeye. Yeah.
That's a good point. I can see that take why you would like them, because I don't think there are a lot of just regular non-mutant superheroes in the Marvel world. I mean,
Black Widow.
He might be, Black Widow. Yeah. Like there's not a lot. Now, do you think, since they've already kind of shown that they're going the direction that the comic books went with the new Captain America, the Jane, is Thor? Do you think there's gonna be a She-Hulk? They gonna?
Yeah. And we all, if you guys don't know the story of how She-Hulk becomes She-Hulk, Bruce Banner's cousin is having issues. Something happens to her where she needs a blood transfusion. Bruce Banner Hulk gives her some of his blood, and then she ends up becoming She-Hulk. So if they're going to use that concept, if they're going to go with the comic book and go with that, and I can't wait for that to happen. But my thing is it going to be CGI Hulk like we have right now, or is it going to be just some really buff, beast mode kind of bodybuilder chick that we're going to get?
Right. With just like really good makeup on, like a makeup job instead of doing the.
With the preview of Thor, and you see Jane Foster, and like you see that one scene where she's carrying Mjolnir, just the way her arms look, it just looks she looks ripped. You can tell she's been working out. So if they're gonna do that with She-Hulk, I would like that a little bit more than giving us a CGI version of a She-Hulk. But again, who knows what Marvel's gonna do?
Yeah. Because I feel like I think either way would be cool, honestly. I mean, we've seen the CGI. They did that well, I think, with Hulk, but I wouldn't mind maybe just seeing a good makeup job on a really buff chick. So woman, excuse me. But yeah, I'm gotta be careful. Gotta be careful these days.
She, he, her, them. Yeah. Can't wait for that. Yeah.
They Hulk.
That's what's funny, that's probably the reason why we haven't seen them yet, because there's someone in the production studio is like, we can't call her She-Hulk, that's not politically correct nowadays.
It's offensive. We have to be politically correct.
It has to be him, they, she, them, her
Hulk. It's gonna have all the slashes.
Oh my god,
it's just jokes, people. It's just jokes.
But you know what, it's one of those things where I'm pretty sure Marvel and Disney's looking at, hey, if we come out with this and we do call her She-Hulk, that's her name of the character in the comic book. Yeah. How many backlash are we going to get? Are we prepared for the people who's going to be like, that's not politically correct? Because it's going to happen no matter what. Sure. It's going to happen.
I'm sure. But I mean, I think in this situation, the character, like you said, that's her name. She's a female. So you can just argue that's what she identifies as, and that's what the character is. But, it's kind of hard, I think, for people to get mad at Marvel, because they do a really good job at including everyone, like, race, sex, all that stuff. So I don't see anyone getting too upset. They shouldn't, because Marvel's, especially these days, really making an effort to kind of broaden people's horizons a little bit, which is another reason why I love Marvel. It's great for the family, and they're pushing forward with good narratives. Yeah,
I mean, they're changing, ethnic groups of characters, like Nick Fury. Come on, in the comic book, he was, a white guy. Now we get, the good old Samuel Jackson playing Nick Fury, which he's doing a great job doing that.
Yeah, amazing.
Which to me, that's like, the good thing about Marvel is they're breaking the barriers of, like, let's just get this character and make this character into a female and just change them around. And we're still going to use that, which is cool. It's like, hell, I didn't even know Agent Carter existed till What If? I grew up reading comic books, but when I saw Agent Carter, I'm like, what's she gonna do? Now I can't wait to see if she's actually gonna be part of the Illuminati. So
I'll admit, when I first heard about them, the Jane Foster Thor, and they changed Captain America, he's a black guy now, and Spider-Man's this Spanish kid, and I'm like, what are they doing over there, Marvel? And this was before there was any kind of hint that this was going to be in the movies. We were still well into phase one. And I understood what Marvel was trying to do with the comics. I didn't know if it was going to work. I don't know if people were open-minded enough for it, but apparently they are. The younger generation is smarter than the old heads. And, it's kind of, it's translating into the movies, and I think it's gonna be good. And I'm like I said, I know we sound repetitive, but we're really excited for all the stuff that's coming out from Marvel.
I'm one of those guys where if you're gonna put a Hispanic guy and make him Captain America, I don't care that he's Hispanic. All I care about is you give me a good movie and give me a good Captain America. That's all I care about. If you can find a guy whose last name is, Diaz or Chavez or whatever, but he's playing the role of Captain America, I don't care what his background is. Just give me a good movie that I can say, damn, that was a good movie, Don't give me these campy movies where because Chris Evans couldn't do it, so you find someone else to do it, and then you just give me a B-rated type movie. It's like, come on. You guys could have done better than that,
Yeah. And if you are going to touch on their background and their race or their sexual preference or whatever it is, at least be authentic with it like they did with Spider-Man. I'm being married to a Filipina. I got all those little things, all those genuine things that they touched on, like the things hanging in the back, we had those too, all that stuff. So if you're going to do it, at least do it with respect and do it right. And I think they're doing it.
And it's funny because you mentioned that when Mary Jane was, when they first came out with Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man, and what's her real name? I forget her real name. Zendaya.
Yeah, Zendaya.
When she first came out and they played her as Mary Jane, the internet was like, we can't have a black Mary Jane because Mary Jane in the comic book was white. And I was like, why? Why can't we?
Yeah.
If she can play Mary Jane as good as any other character and any other ethnic group can play Mary Jane, make her Mary Jane. And I'm glad they did because her character is Mary Jane. One, she's annoying as hell, which is cool. And two, she definitely fits in with that role as what a Mary Jane character should be. So to me, I'm glad she was Mary Jane,
Yeah. And I mean, it's undeniable the chemistry those two have. Like, obviously, we all know they're together in real life. So that comes across and makes just the interactions with them more genuine to me.
Yeah.
You can tell when they're looking at each other, we're really giving each other like the Google eyes and stuff. So that's cool to watch.
Get a room. You see Ned in the background. Get a room, guys.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Ned being the wizard, or like finding the sling ring and figuring out how to do that right away? I got something to tell you about that, but Marvel totally just botched it and did it this way.
Okay. I found it a little weird. Like, it didn't bother me too much, but it was one of those things that I was like, I wouldn't think it would be that easy for someone to pick up the ring and just start opening portals. Granted, he wasn't the best at it and he was kind of doing some crazy stuff, but I did find that a little weird. Like, okay, but I just kind of let it go. I'm just like, maybe they just, for the sake of the movie, just made it easy for him to figure it out. But I didn't think that there was anything more to it. But.
Yeah. Well, technically they were supposed to bring in America Chavez, who she's now going to be in Doctor Strange, right? Multiverse of Madness, excuse me. So America Chavez, if you guys don't know her character, she can go into different parts of the multiverse. So she has that way of going from one multiverse to another. So they were supposed to introduce her in Spider-Man, but again, because of COVID, because of everything that was going on, they had to push all that back. So instead of making her there, they gave Ned the sling ring. And it's funny, I don't know if you caught it in the movie, Ned's Lola says, we have magicians, we have wizards in our family.
Yeah.
So that's why supposedly Ned was blood related with these wizards who, bring me Peter Parker,
Okay.
So that's supposed to be the tie-in, which was perfect writing because a lot of us who were like, how does he just all of a sudden just opens, a portal?
Yeah. Okay, that makes I forgot about that part where she mentions that.
Yeah, she does. She mentions that, and that's why the cool concept of giving Ned the sling ring, letting him open a portal, bringing us both, Peter Parkers from different multiverse was kind of cool. But technically, it was supposed to be America Chavez's character.
Okay. Now, do you think they're doing that to maybe have Ned's character evolve into maybe a superhero or have a bigger role?
Yeah,
you think?
Good question, because when they released the trailers to Spider-Man, I seriously thought Ned was going to be the Hobgoblin. And the only reason why is because Ned's always wearing that high school jacket, which is like peach and blue or whatever the color is. That's Hobgoblin's colors. So that's the colors of Hobgoblin. And they kept talking about how, Jacob Batalon, who plays Ned, is like working out. He lost a lot of weight. He's like this super buff freak now. So I'm thinking, okay, because maybe they're preparing him to be the Hobgoblin. But they went this different direction. So, I mean, he's going to be one of those guys. He's going to be another Wong to me. He's going to be that guy in the background that just can be a supporting cast. He's not going to be a main character. But that has nothing to do with Spider-Man, because Spider-Man never had a wizard in the background.
Yeah.
So
I'm wondering too if it's a situation where, and we've seen where they do this, where people fall in love with the character even though they're not a main character, and so maybe they're just trying to find a way to write them in and have them have a bigger part just because the fans love them so much. I mean, I don't know if that's it, but I feel like they do that sometimes, and I like him. I think he's a funny character. I mean, the whole Spider-Man series is just inherently funny. I mean, that's always been Spider-Man. He's a young high school kid and he jokes around. So, I don't know. Maybe that was it. Maybe they just liked him so much and they're like, hey, let's figure out a way to keep him around. I
think he would have been a good Hobgoblin. I mean, to me, it would have been. But, again, I don't write. I'm not one of the producers.
Yeah. But that Willem Dafoe, man, he's you couldn't have picked a better person to play that role just because he's scary without the mask.
Yeah.
Like I have, that I've been scarred by that guy ever since Platoon. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's always just been that perfect creepy villain character.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's funny. He was actually supposed to play the Joker in the Batman episode, and just imagine him in that Joker. He would, just without the makeup, he already looks like the Joker with that smile. But yeah, you're right, man. In this Spider-Man, just which William Dafoe did we get? And the whole scene where he's like with Aunt May, and I was like, dude, don't trust him. Why the hell are you trusting this guy?
Right.
It's like, put him in the portal, send him back, do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
What did you think about that with Peter Parker being the more sympathetic, empathetic Spider-Man, where Doctor Strange just is like, look, I mean, the whole thing with me is like, Peter Parker fucked this whole thing up. One, he kept saying, no, I want Aunt May to remember. No, I want, he fucked up that spell pretty much. But the whole fact that he didn't listen to Doctor Strange, and when Doctor Strange says, we have to send them back, and if they die, they die, because that's their path. But here's Peter Parker, Tom Holland's character, who's a little more empathetic, is like, no, dude, we got to find a way to heal them. We got to find a way to save them. I didn't like that in that movie.
It annoyed the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Like I was yelling at the TV, like, why? Like you, especially after everything you just went through with the Avengers and trying to save the world. Yeah. You would think at this point you want to do everything you can to freaking sustain the peace that you guys created.
Yep.
So yeah, that was a little annoying, and it was kind of like a bit of a reach for me that he wants to, make them turn good and give them a second chance and all that. It was annoying, but I guess they needed that to happen for them to bring the other guys in. But now that I think about it, that was maybe one of the holes in the storyline that they could have maybe written better, given a better reason as to why the other Spider. And I think that's all it was. I think they wanted to bring the other Spider-Man. They wanted to have the multiverse kind of beginning but he pissed me the hell off.
Yeah. I mean, just the whole like reasoning why. I get why Aunt May said, everyone deserves a second chance and we have to find a way to rebuild people. Yeah, she did say that in the movie, but you're right. They just went through Endgame. You lost Tony Stark. You were blipped for 5 years. And then now this is your reasoning is to give them, a second chance. I'm like, nah, dude, you messed up in your verse. If I was Mary Jane and I had that little box, I would have pushed the little thing, whatever they told them to push, or sent them all back.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I think at this point, having gone through all that, he shouldn't be as naive. I get it. That's Spider-Man and that's how he plays them and all that. But I feel like they could have hardened him up a little bit by now, like when guys go to war and they come back, they're a little different. They get that 1,000-yard stare. I feel like it's time maybe to kind of have him man up a little bit and toughen him up a little bit. But I don't know, maybe they had writer's block.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, when they brought in Tobey Maguire, he had that, he was the adult in the group.
Right. He had that look that you would expect.
Yeah. And he's like, well, thank you for thinking that way. But, what's done is done. There's a reason why they died in their verse. And, but no, I mean, that was the only part that one of the parts I didn't like about the movie. Moving forward, you watched the first episode of Moon Knight, and I think Oscar Isaac deserves an Emmy in his role. I mean, I literally had to YouTube after I saw the first episode and listen to what his real accent is. Like, is this guy English? Is he really English? He did that character, Steven, so well that I didn't even know what his real accent was.
Yeah. No, same here, because a lot of times there's so many good like British actors and actresses that I think are American. Yeah. And I see them in an interview and I'm like, what? Another one? Like at this point, I think there's no good American actors. So when I saw him, I'm like, wait a minute, him too? Yeah. I had the same reaction. But yeah, I thought he was like, I mean, he's killing it right now to be part of two of the biggest freaking franchises, Star Wars and Marvel. Like, man, who's better than this guy? It's
funny you mentioned that is because somebody said, I'm kind of glad Oscar Isaac is the new Moon Knight, because that erases everything he's done as Poe Dameron, because no one really liked that Star Wars trilogy right there. So it's like him doing Moon Knight is kind of recovering his career, saving his career, because everyone's trying to forget that last 3 episodes, which is cool. But yeah, man, this whole Moon Knight thing, it's bringing Egyptian mythology. I didn't know what Moon Knight was. I didn't know what to expect. Me either. I think there's 4. I think episode 5's coming out this week. And I still don't know where it's going. I mean, hell, I'm still confused. When we watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, even Loki, by the 5th episode, we kind of already knew the direction they were going. Here, It's like, okay, there's 2 episodes left. Where the hell? I'm still like, where the hell are they going?
Okay, yeah, I thought, because I was lost.
Yeah, no. You'll still be lost by the end of episode 4. But man, I love this, but it's bringing everything that I'm afraid of. I mean, hell, if you want to we talk about fear and scared of things. I'm afraid of pyramids, whether it's Machu Picchu or whether it's Egypt, and the only reason why is because their mythology and their whole story of like curses and all that stuff to me is real. That's more real than any of the haunted stories that we talked about. It's like, the curse of, King Tut, all that stuff. When you go back there, there's a reason why these gods believed in the afterlife, and it's something they saw. And then to bring this into fruition, and we're watching like Khonshu, we're watching like these Egyptian gods. I'm like, whoa, this is, and it's funny because the first 4 episodes I watched at midnight with my AirPods on an iPad in the dark.
Why?
Because again, spoilers. I didn't want the next day of people giving me spoilers. So I said, I want to catch it before everyone else does. And I was watching it and I'm watching this like, oh shit. And with AirPods, you hear everything, you hear everything. And I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to watch this again like this.
Yeah, no, you definitely become immersed when you have AirPods or whatever on. I like it. Like watching I've only seen the first episode. I almost forgot I was watching something from Marvel.
Yeah.
I feel it's a little different, but again, they Moon Knight, I didn't want to do too much reading up on them because I didn't want any spoilers. because I know they really like taking from the comics. So I said I'll watch it, and then I'll kind of go back and do my research on the character and maybe get an idea of where they're going with it. But so far, it's not anything like anything else they've done.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited, and I love when Marvel takes chances and goes a little darker. You know, sometimes they have the tendency to really kind of, you know, gear towards kids, which I understand, and so all the bright colors and all the characters, but when they go dark, like how some of the comics really were, that's when I'm like, yes, that's just what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no. This is for you guys who are watching Moon Knight. I made the mistake by telling one of my coworkers who has young kids, "Hey, Marvel's coming out with a new series. It's called Moon Knight. He's supposed to be this superhero." And you know, she came to work the next day. She was like, "F you, Eric. My son stayed up all night last night because he kept thinking a jackal was gonna come in his room." I'm like, "Hey, I'm just as surprised as you." I didn't know where this was coming from. I thought Marvel was going to give out, you know, like you said, you know, the bright colors and do all this stuff. And who the hell knew that there was going to be a jackal at the end of the movie, you know? But man, I'll tell you one thing that I love about the movie a lot, or the series so far, is, man, the Moon Knight costume, man, is like right now probably one of my favorite costumes in the MCU, just because to me it's different. I've never seen this before. And it's giving justice to what I did peek at some of the comic books of Moon Knight, and this is way better than what the comic books are showing us. And just watching it in live action, I'm like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. The cinematography it's sick, because it's one of those things where, you know, you're looking at different scenes and it just looks like a piece of art. You know, like a sick drawing. Like, man, you can pause it and be like, that would look great on a T-shirt or a background or something like that. So, no, he definitely looks cool. The wardrobe, I guess people like, they did an amazing job with that. Yeah.
No, I mean, where this is going, and again, going back to the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, I want to know where this is going to tie in. You know, where is this going to tie in? We know where Hawkeye tied in. We know where Falcon and Winter Soldier tied in. We know where WandaVision tied in. Where are they going to tie in Moon Knight? Where is he going to be moving forward? I know in the movie, in the comic book, he was part of, you know, the European Avengers, or the European, whatever that's called. Yeah, there's a
European Avengers.
There's a European Avengers. I forget what they're called, but Black Knight is supposed to be there. Blade's supposed to be part of there. Moon Knight's supposed to be part of that group as well. I forget the name of it. Agent Carter is supposed to be the one leading the European Avengers. I forget the name, the real name of it. You know, forgive me, Marvel geeks out there. But yeah, Moon Knight's supposed to tie into that character. So if they are going with the European-based Avengers, which is going to tie in with the Eternals later on. I can't wait for that. I can't wait to see how that works.
That'll be good. One of the things I did hear, one of the rumors, and again, I didn't see the Hawkeye series, but I believe they introduced a new character named Echo.
Yeah.
And that's rumored to be, I think, another series on Disney Plus, and I think somehow that's going to be tied in with Moon Knight. I was watching a video. Yeah, they explained, and I hate myself for not remembering, but his character and her character somehow have some sort of relation. Spoiler alert. So I think that's how they're going to tie him in, and how all that gets tied into the rest of the movies. Who knows?
Yeah,
but
interesting.
Yeah, and I also saw something about the new Avengers, which I think is supposed to come out in like 2023. That's going to have all the characters now. The new Black Panther, Doctor Strange, all, you know, the new Captain America, Thor, all that. So that's actually going to be, that'll probably maybe be towards the end of this phase.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that'll be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to.
Who do you think moving forward, if they do come out with the new Avengers, you know, we knew that Tony Stark, Iron Man, and Captain America were the leaders of this old Avengers group. Who's going to be in charge of the new Avengers? Who's going to be the one that they have to look up to?
Yeah. For me, I think it would definitely Doctor Strange. I think he probably is the most wisest out of all these characters, because he's been through a lot so far. He's been Doctor Strange for a while. He's battled with aliens and all that stuff. And I think maybe WandaVision, you know, both of them, her being so powerful, you know, and in the trailer, you see, she's the first person he goes to for help. Like, hey, look, there's some shit about to go down again. I need your help.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like those two would be a good, captain, co-captain that everyone would look up to. The Hulk, I don't know that he's too much of a loose cannon, but he's definitely, he'll help.
If you can get Smart Hulk on there, then
if you can get Smart Hulk, but I hate Smart Hulk.
Yeah, no one like him.
I like when he's angry Hulk. I mean, when he hates the world, and apparently that's where they're going with the Hulk movie. Is what I thought Ragnarok was kind of touching on was where they're supposed to go with the Hulk movie, and it's going to be where he can't control his anger, and they send him to another ship. I mean, to another another planet, and that kind of spawns his anger, and he comes back, and he's like a big problem. Maybe that's why they need to bring the Avengers back. Who knows?
Yeah. But no, I like the Ragnarok Hulk. To me, he was good. Angry, but he knew when to settle down. I mean, Smart Hulk was okay, but that whole Endgame scene where he's like, "Oh, the Hulk smash," it's like, I mean, that can go away. We'll see. Yeah. But as far as what you said about WandaVision, depending on what they're going to bring us in Doctor Strange, which WandaVision are they going to give us? Are they going to give us the Scarlet Witch? And for us fans who are theorizing what's the movie is about, she's just trying to find her kids. She's trying to find her kids. They were lost in WandaVision. So she's just trying to go into all these different multiverse. And supposedly, she's the one that messed up the Illuminati Sanctorium in the movie. So, which WandaVision are we getting? Which Wanda are we getting? Are we getting the Scarlet Witch, which is just don't care about the world, just cares about her kids? Or are we going to get the one that's going to care about humanity and let's go ahead and, do this? I don't know.
Or maybe we get both. And that's what I love about the multiverse. We just saw we had a bunch of Spider-Men. Yeah. So maybe, they unlock both Wandas and that ends up being a ridiculous fight. That's a possibility.
I mean, the trailer did show us 2 Wandas, which is cool. They showed us, 3 Doctor Strange? It showed us a regular Doctor Strange. It showed, I forget all their names. The hero Doctor Strange. It showed the what if Doctor Strange. That part right there, man. When I saw that what if Doctor Strange, I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then they showed us zombie Doctor Strange. So, that's right. Just this movie alone, man. I mean, like, again, I'm going to be that kid in the candy store, like, forgive me if you're watching with me on May 5th at San Fran. I'm going to be swearing my ass off because I'm going to be like, oh, shit. Fuck.
Oh, man. Is it true they're getting rid of San Fran, right?
They're getting rid of the mall. That's just the thing. Some big development guy decides he wants to buy the land and put a condominium and business center there. But, San Fran, for you guys going off topic real quick, San Fran has a lot of good, there's a historical ground. It was a Japanese internment camp at one point. So for someone to do that, I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to take a different part of San Fran and put that business over there. The side where Red Robin is and all that stuff. That part is diminished. That part should go anyway. But I think that's what's going to happen. But if they take away the movie theater, I don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, that's going to suck because I'm one of the things that I was excited about, with everything opening back up was going back to the movies, especially with Marvel. I didn't get to see Spider-Man. I'm going to the movies to see Doctor Strange because there's some movies you have to experience on the big screen. I don't care how big of a TV you got, how nice of a system. It's just not the same being there with your popcorn and just like feeling the sound, not just hearing it. Like, I can't wait. That's going to be, I'm excited.
Me too. And I what I'm glad about this whole thing is, a lot of people are still cautious when it comes to COVID. I get it. A lot of people are still, of course. But if you go there and you practice right, you wear your mask, and you just make sure. It's funny because when we watched the Batman, there was a group in front of us, and it's it's reserved seating, right? And I'm like, out of all the seats for them to reserve, why do they reserve the ones in front of us? I mean, the theater wasn't packed, but it was kind of sort of empty. So they sit right in front of us. The row next to them, there's nobody there. The movie's like 10 minutes into the movie, and for some reason I coughed. And it was just, I just coughed. The popcorn went down the wrong way. That's what I did. The dad turns around, looks at me, Hispanic family, which is cool. They were fine. He looks at me, and I'm drinking a soda because I'm trying to flush that all down. And he looks over to the right, or to the left, and he taps his wife and his kids, and he ends up moving over there. And I'm like, all right. And then what the funny thing was, the people behind them, now that the new people, this person has been sneezing the whole time in the movie, and this person just does the hachoo, hachoo, and then now he turns around and looks at them, and then the wife is like, hey, I'm not moving anymore. We're staying right here. So I'm like, I get it. I get it. We're all still, but just, be out there, be careful. If you get it, just be mindful. But movies are definitely, supposed to be watched in movies, especially Marvel movies, If you're gonna watch something like The Batman, it's now that it's on HBO Max. We watched it a second time at home. It's just as good. I think if I watched it at home, I think I would have liked it because there's not really that much action scene like in a Marvel movie. But it's just an experience. I think that's what we're there for, just the experience. So
just going out again and getting back to some sort of normalcy. It feels good. But you have given me an idea for when I'm on BART and people want to skip all the empty seats to sit next to me. I'm just going to start coughing it up.
Yeah. Have a box of tissue. I'm not kidding. Have a box of tissue in front of you. Start fake. We can fake blow our nose. And then, start.
And I'll just stare at them as I do it. Just make eye contact, make it really awkward.
I don't know if you've seen that video that's going around on TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. There's a little short where the guy's like at a public BART or something like that, right? And he's holding his stomach, he's holding on the rail, he's like,
yeah, I did see that.
And then everybody's looking at him, and like the whole train just moves out. And he's like, and then he just sits down, takes out his phone. He's like, hey, no one's sitting next to me. Yeah, it works. So yeah, you can do that too, man. But man, this is fun, Joe, man. Thank you for jumping back.
It's good to be back.
Thank you for being back on the Ordinary Joe's podcast. Sorry it's been a while, and I told Joe, hey, we don't have to do a weekly thing. If I know there's a lot of things that's going on in our lives. So if you don't want to do a weekly thing, that's totally fine. But we are going to come back. We're going to give you guys more content. Tell us what you think. The Ordinary Joe's podcast at gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, the Ordinary Joe's podcast on the Instagram account. Thank you for you guys who stuck with us and still continue to stick with us.
Yes, we love you guys. Thank you.
You can tell we did not break up.
No, yes, we did not. Don't believe the rumors.
Don't believe the rumors. Don't believe the hype. I wish I had that right here. I don't have that right here. Yeah. But moving forward, we are going to touch on something else. Moving forward, something my coworker that listens to all our podcasts lately is very interested in is all our haunted stuff that we did in the past.
Oh, okay.
And only because your New York haunting story about the disembodied voice, the whistling, she actually experienced here in San Francisco in a haunted apartment that she no longer lives, that I'm trying really hard to see if I can go in there and like, hey, can I just hang out here for a couple hours? But she talked about the disembodied voice. She talked about people knocking on the door and like nobody's there. So she's very intrigued, and she's like, God, if you guys can do that again. I'm like, I don't know how much more haunted stories we can talk about.
No, I mean, I can think of maybe one or two instances that I didn't touch on about the apartment, but I mean, I'm all for it. We could revisit that. I don't know if I want to, but we could revisit that topic.
We can touch on it again. And you know what? Maybe we can do something where we tell ghost stories and at the end of the podcast or the vlogs, you have to figure out which one is real and which one isn't.
Oh, that would be fun.
We'll tell like real stuff, but we'll also tell some false stuff. And you got to tell us which one you think is real and which one isn't. I already did this, so I'm going to have to think of a couple of other stuff that's not. But man, Joe, thank you for jumping on. Thank you for jumping back.
Yeah, man, thank you as always.
Man, I feel like we've been, I got to play this again for us because I feel like we've been distant for the longest time. But thank you for jumping back on, man. It's
man. No, it was good to be back, man. I miss this, and I need the balance of work and doing just fun stuff that I enjoy. Yeah. And I miss you, and I miss the guys too. So hopefully we can get them back up too.
This is a little montage, and now that your East Coast buddies Ro and Ev is like, yes, let's get him back on.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Try not to do a 2-hour long show, guys.
No. We're gonna kind of cut the fat, and same with us too. Like we said, we won't do anything weekly, but we'll try to get a couple in a month. Yeah, so keep you guys entertained, because I do miss doing this stuff for you guys. And again, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let us know what you think. It kind of helps us to keep going. If
there's anything else you want us to talk about, anything else you want us to listen to or to go ahead and let us know what you guys want us to talk about. Again, we're available on YouTube for YouTube watchers and all podcast platforms. And luckily for us, this one right here that I'm putting out, that we're going to be a podcast, it gives us that opportunity for me to have us on Amazon. So hopefully this podcast that I upload later on will be uploaded on Amazon. I just got to do the whole, hey, Amazon, this is our, whatever podcast. Go ahead and put us on the Amazon podcast. But you can find us on all the podcast platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify. Spotify kind of changed the thing, so we can't play a lot of music on Spotify anymore. So, where's my so. But until next time, this has been fun. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. It's glad to have the Ordinary Joe back on the podcast. Until next time, thank you guys for listening. We are the Ordinary Joes.
Peace.
See ya.
You're listening to the Ordinary Joes podcast.